Yo, yo, yo. Welcome, everybody, to the McGruder Files, episode 3, presented by Kingdom Kast. Chiefs fans, what a night it was on Sunday Night Football. And you guys know what it is. It's Raiders week. Kansas City took down the Detroit Lions 30-17 on Sunday Night Football, a battle of the NFL heavyweights, and that had Arrowhead rocking on Sunday night. So, later on tonight, I'm going to be joined by my guest, my guy, Cris from the Arrowhead Chief podcast. We're going to dive into how the Chiefs moved to 3-3 and outclass the league's top scoring offense, the Detroit Lions, and how Brian Branch pretty much acted like a little about it at the end of the game with Juju. So, anyway, we're going to get into it, get it going before Cris gets in here, and we're going to recap the game. So, as you all remember, as you saw on Sunday night, the game started with the Detroit team flexing, marching 15 plays over 9 minutes, but the Chiefs D held them to just a field goal. Patrick Mahomes, MV3, answered with a clutch 6-yard touchdown pass to Xavier Worthy on 4th down, setting the tone. Detroit struck back with Jared Goff hitting Jamison Williams for a 22-yard touchdown, but the Chiefs stayed unfazed. Trailing by 4 with under a minute left in the first half, Mahomes kept it himself for a 1-yard TD run, snatching the lead for good. Coming out at halftime, no repeat of the last week's slow start against Jacksonville, where we should have won that game, but anyway, that's for a later date to talk about that. Mahomes led an 8-play, 81-yard drive, capped by a slick 9-yard pop pass for a touchdown to Hollywood Brown, who weaved through defenders on that play. Mahomes was surgical in that game. He was 22 of 30 for 257 yards, 3 tutties, and 1 rushing touchdown, and points on 5 of 7 drives. Detroit pulled within 3 in the 4th, but Mahomes responded instantly, finding Brown again for a second touchdown hookup. And you got to know that the offensive line deserves a shout out despite missing left tackle Josh Simmons. Veteran Jalen Moore stepped up big, keeping Detroit's pass rush in check. Andy Reid praised Moore and the offensive line coach, Andy Heck, for the prep. The defense, they were stellar. They held Detroit's 35-point scoring per game offense to just 17 points on Sunday night, shutting them out on 5 of their 6 last drives. Charles Omenihu's 3rd down sack in the 4th sealed it, setting up a clock-chewing field goal drive. So here's the wild stat, right? 0 turnovers, 0 penalties, 1 punt. The first team to do that since 1972. That was from NBC Sports. Big Red summed it up. It was one of those good nights. No injuries either. And now the 3-3 Chiefs gear up for the Raiders. Stuck with us as we break this down. So I'll break this down and before Cris gets in here. Let's see. All right, everything's going good so far. But hey, so I want to mention before I move on, sorry about last episode, with the delays and everything, but everything is looking good so far. So so the thing I'm gonna look at breaking down from what I saw from this game, we could talk about the Brian Branch thing and everything else like that. But he was a punt. I always just have to say this to everybody. As somebody who looks into the game of football, you got to look at it like this. What we all saw Sunday night at the end, especially when I heard my mom scream, "Kick his behind, Juju, kick his behind, Juju," right? What we saw Sunday night at the end of the game with Brian Branch attacking Juju, especially when he's mad at their so-called being taunted by Mahomes and Juju. We pretty much just seen why he slid down draft boards around the 2023 draft. I remember around that time. And if you guys pay attention to history, it just happened the way it happened. So now we have to talk about this. It's Raider week. So forget about the Lions. F them. I hope the Buccaneers beat them on Monday Night Football. That's nothing here to say. But anyway, so the Chiefs offense scored 30 points, 355 yards, their third straight week with 28 plus points, averaging 31.7 points, 404 yards since week 3. Their highest, their best stretch since 2021. That was the last time when we had Tyreek Hill, right? The red zone, 12 for 17 on touchdowns. Mahomes went 22 of 30 for 247 yards, as I mentioned, 4 touchdowns, 3 touchdown passes. He ran one in for himself, 132 passer rating, becoming the fastest to have 300 career touchdown passes in 139 total games. His 6-yard touchdown pass to Xavier Worthy on 4th down answered Detroit's 15-play, 9-minute drive that ended with a field goal. So, speaking of the receiving core, like I want to talk about tonight here, EGE. Everybody's got to eat. You've all seen it. You've seen the messages, right? And before I mention that name, speaking of that, Mahomes was dealing on Sunday, hitting 8 different targets for completions. It's the story of this offense. Balance and depth. Excuse me. We've got Travis Kelce leading with 321 yards in the last 6 games. We got Hollywood Brown at 302. Tyquan Thornton with 272. Juju with 225. Only Buffalo and San Fran joined us with 4 guys with over 220 plus yards receiving this year. And don't sleep on Worthy, who's added 145 since coming back in week 4. So what the big news is, Rashee Rice is back. The kid wrapped up his 6-game suspension and is making his 2025 debut against the Raiders on Sunday. Rice exploded as a rookie with 103 catches, 1,200 yards receiving, and 9 touchdowns in 20 games. Now imagine him rejoining this group. Here's one little interesting stat that everybody must pay attention to going into this game on Sunday night. So let me just make sure I have it right. Okay. The Raiders secondary, man, ooh. I just got to say it right here, man. It is going to be a feast for the Chiefs receiving group on Sunday. And I'm going to tell you why. The Raiders secondary has been torched by opposing NFL wide receivers for 971 yards. That's the 5th most allowed in the NFL through 6 games. So we're going to see a feast from Worthy, Rice, Kelce, Brown, Thornton, and Juju Smith-Schuster on Sunday. Watch Mahomes try to put probably another 30 burger on them. Hopefully we try to make it to 40. Hopefully we shall see. Anyway. So here's the thing about this. I'm glad that Rashee Rice has taken it upon himself to take his suspension like a man and is ready to move on. I personally think that I'm a person that likes to give out projections based off of what I see. With the last 11 games to go, next 11 games to go, I think he's due for a monster stretch. I say that Rashee Rice will have about 70 catches for about 800 or 850 yards, about 5 to almost 7 touchdowns, push him toward almost another 1,000 yard season, hopefully, for the future, and try to get double digit scores. With Mahomes slinging it and this offensive line clicking, Rice could be the spark that turns good into great. So, Raiders, especially the secondary, you've been warned. So, anyway, as we try to wrap up this first segment, and hey, what's going on? How you doing, Nani? Yes. Um, let's talk about the trade deadline. Me and my guys at Kingdom Kast have been talking about it for a while. So on Tuesday, November 4th at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, New York time, 3 o'clock our time, with about $4 to $5 million in cap space for the Chiefs. We have room to maneuver without breaking the bank, right? And all right, hold on. My guys got in here.
What's going on, player?
Yo, what's going on, Cris? How you doing, bro?
Pretty good, you?
I'm good. All right, everybody. I'd like to introduce everybody. My guest joining me tonight, he is the host of the Arrowhead Chief podcast. My guy, who I've been in connection with for a while, Mr. Cris Style. How you doing, bro?
What's going on, P Mac? How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, man. You told me that you were just getting in, and you told me just go ahead and start, so you jump on. So we're keeping it going. I just reviewed the game on the Lions, what happened and what the Chiefs did. You know how Mahomes been slinging the ball to everybody. Worthy, Juju, to Hollywood, to Kelsey, to Taekwon, and now with Rice coming back into the fold. And I just mentioned this too before you jumped on. So the Raiders secondary has given up 971 yards receipt to opposing wide receivers in the NFL. That's the fifth most allowed in the league.
Mm-hmm.
So you got Rice coming back into the fold. And you saw what happened with Brian Branch, but I was like, forget about all that. So how do you feel about come this game and what our receivers are doing this Sunday? So what's your thoughts about this Sunday and what you think could possibly happen?
I'm with you, man. I think the middle of the field can be wide open. I think you got to test these linebackers. I don't think their linebackers are that good. You got Adams, who's converted safety to linebacker, and it hasn't gone too well. And Devin White, he's been okay. He's not the Devin White that we know from Tampa Bay, so he's not been particularly too well this year. I know he was talking a little bit of trash about Travis Kelsey when they interviewed him this past week, but that might not go well for him. But yeah, I would put the speed on these linebackers and try to get these linebackers to cover these receivers, get some mismatches. Maybe even try to get Bashard Smith out of the backfield on some of these linebackers too, and try to test them on that too, because I think there's plays to be had in the middle of the field for sure. And then, of course, you could try to hit something deep down the field with Taekwon, with Xavier Worthy, and even Rashee Rice, and Hollywood Brown. Try to get something deep down the field too on these safeties, because these safeties are, have a lot to be desired. Their strength is their front line, of course, anchored by Max Crosby. Kuntz has been playing pretty well this year. I think his name is Taekwon Wilson. I think his name is Tyree Wilson. I think his name is. But their defensive line has actually been playing well this year. It's the rest of the defense that's not that good.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And about Max Crosby, I think we should have his number. And I mentioned that veteran Jalen Moore stepped in at a critical time, especially what's going on with Josh Simmons. And like we've been saying at Kingdom Kast and people to everybody, like, just let the situation play out and stop worrying about, what's going on. But Jalen Moore stepped in at a critical time. And then, Amini, who had that third down sack in the fourth quarter that sealed the deal. in the game for us pretty much. And also the best thing about the game for us was we had 0 turnovers, 0 penalties. It was the first time since 1972, which was amazing for us. This is the way we've been wanting to play in the Andy Reid era, especially having Mahomes. Hopefully we keep it going. The red zone looked great. This was we scored 30 points, put up 350 plus yards, and third straight week of having 28 plus points and averaging about 300 and I mean 31.7 points per game and putting up over 400 yards 400 yards total since week 3. That's our best since 2021, since when we last had Tyreek. And
Right.
I feel good about our chances going into that game and everything. So, how do you feel about this realistic projection of mine about Rashee? I think with the final 11 game stretch and him coming back, he's due for a monster stretch. I'm saying 70 catches, 800 to about 850 yards receiving, 5 to 7 touchdown receptions, pushing them close to almost having a 1,000 yard season. And you got Mahomes slinging it, the offensive line clicking still, and he could be the spark, that turns good into great. So, what's your thoughts on that?
I'm not mad at your assessment. I think it depends on what Rashid can handle. You know what I'm saying? If he's really in good shape, I think they're gonna try to rev him up. You know what I'm saying? Like these next few games is to get him revved up. Especially these next 2 games, get him revved up to get him ready for Buffalo. And before the bye week, and then after the bye week, it's all systems go. But I think that, and I do believe that report that they are going to feed him in this game. They're going to get him in shape as much as they can. That's what Andy Reid does. That's how he gets you. He gets you game ready. Is he's going to feed you. He's going to continue to feed you until you show until you show you really ready. Then he's like, all right, now we could really just go. You know what I'm saying? So I just think this game is just really just get him going, get his engine going, get him going for this game. Then the next game when we play Washington, same thing, and then Buffalo, all systems go, and then we got the bye week, and then it's really just taking off. So I'm with you. It could be anything between 800 to 1,100 yards, I think.
Yeah, man. Dang, Carson Beck, man. What's going on? Oh man.
Like, tonight.
Yeah. So anyway, as we wrap up this first segment, as we went over the game and also talking about Rashee and how they're going to torch this secondary of the Raiders, I want to end this first segment on talking about the trade deadline, the targets and stuff like that. So, as we all know, Tuesday, November 4th at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, New York time, or 3 o'clock our time, is going to be the trade deadline. And with the Chiefs having about almost $5 million in cap space, they have room to maneuver without breaking the bank. Veach loves to, add rushing help. And there's probably a chance of adding some running back help if the Chiefs want to go that route realistically. So let's break down some of these targets. Let's starting with Miami edge rusher Jalen Phillips, $13.3 million cap hit, too steep for our space. He needs a massive restructure. Miami's 1-5, but his injury history makes this a stretch. So I might pass on that one. What you think?
I think that you could ask Miami to split the cost. Um, if they're really willing to get rid of him like that, and knowing that his injury history, I think Brett Veach could work something out to be like, hey, look, you pay half, we pay half, and we'll just go from there. And by the time the trade deadline gets up and they go trade for him, his salary is not going to be as much. So because most of that $3 million is going to be already cut into. So I would actually not be mad at this trade. I think Jalen Phillips is actually a very talented defensive lineman. It's just like you said, injuries have derailed his career, but all in all, I think he would bring some juice to this defensive line that is really much needed, especially when we start getting to the playoff stretch, trying to get to the playoffs and seeding and all that stuff. We got to improve this pass rush. And I think he would be a real help with that.
I'm with you there. And I like Phillips. And where I was coming from is like let's say this, right? You know the movie Moneyball, and you know the character Peter Brand, Jonah Hill's character.
Hmm.
So I'm like that version for us at Kingdom Kast, right? I like say like, hey, I like these guys, but knowing the Chiefs and know how Clark Hunt and Brett Veach with Andy Reid's approval operation. Yo, what's up, my guy from San Diego?
What's
So
going on, man?
like, yeah. So it's like you got to look at it from that perspective. But it's like, yes, it might cost a lot of money, but like, which of those guys could fit within that budget? Because that's
Right.
how the Oakland A's, who are now Sacramento Athletics, did it for years under Billy Bean. So that's how I used to do that approach. And even those years with us, especially through the draft picks with the rookie capital, like with McDuffie and Pacheco and Chanel and those guys, I believe in that system. So I went Phillips, but it's like if they could take that, then I'm on board with it. So
Hmm.
that's why I say pass, because of that. I don't think the Chiefs won't go for that. So there's the next one, Kayvon Thibodeau from the Giants. I did like him coming out of the
I
draft.
did too.
Yeah, man. Solid with 2.5 sacks early on this year, but $10 million cap hit. I don't know if he does fit. He's young and he's talented, but I don't know if New York's going to be selling him, especially with Jackson Dart taking the reins over there right now. And you got Cam Scatterboo, who I liked coming out of the draft, and said the Chiefs should look at him.
Um, I think this will be a pass because you're gonna have to pay him. You're
Right.
gonna have to. He's coming up. Time to pay him. I know they went on his 5th-year option, but you're gonna have to pay him eventually. And like you said, you got Trent McDuffie coming up. You got,
Yes.
you got Leo. You're gonna keep Leo Chanel. One of these safety, Brian Cook is coming up. Like, are you gonna keep Brian Cook back there, like to keep
Mm-hmm.
continuity? Um, you know, you gonna you got to restructure Patrick Mahomes deal and all this other stuff. So I don't think and you just paid George Karlaftis, so you're not gonna pay him. So I think that would be a hard pass. I think Tibbs would he would go to somebody like a New England or somebody like that who got huge cap space that could pay him, and they got a rookie quarterback that they ain't got to pay for a long time. Maybe even Washington would, I don't know if they trade in within the division, but I'm just saying like somebody with a young quarterback, the rookie quarterback that they feel like they just need one more piece to get to where they need to get to. I think those would be the teams to get K-Bomb. So I don't think the Chiefs will be in that.
All right. I'm gonna add one more defensive lineman, a sleeper for me, like I really liked, and then for last year, I wanted him on this team last year, especially to help out Chris Jones. Now he's back with the Cardinals, but I think they might, be sellers. Calais Campbell, he's still a beast at 38 with 3 sacks. His $6 million cap hit is right on the edge, but at our limit, it's it's doable with minor tweaks, and they're probably rebuilding. So low cost rental for a run defense, I would say yes on that, especially perfect depth behind Chris Jones or to help him out, especially on those passing downs.
I'm not mad at Calais Campbell because he's not going to cost you much. He's still productive. He's really good against the run. He can still give you a little juice at the pass rush. So I'm not, and he'll bring some veteran leadership too to help out in that room. So, yeah, I'm not mad at Calais Campbell. Is he a little long in the tooth? He's like 38, so he's a little older. But yeah, I'm not mad. He's still productive though at that age. So if anything, he'll be good to help stop the run and to give Chris Jones a breather.
Yeah. And before we wrap this part up of the segment, we're going to talk about the running backs to finish off, because everybody's been talking about running backs like, for example, Brees Hall from the Jets, exploding with 351 yards rushing, 4 point DJ Reader, Sheldon Rankins. I wonder if if Reader is still with the Bengals or the Lions or whatever. I don't think they would trade those guys to us anyway.
I got
Uh,
somebody, Malik Collins from, I think he plays for the Browns right now, defensive tackle.
yes, my guy from KC Mo. Yes, I was thinking, I'm like, you got to have him, man. He's a very underrated pass rusher and run stopper.
Yeah, I think he would be perfect, and he won't cost you that much either. So
I like that. I like that guy. So with Brees Hall, he fits, but he's gonna want a new contract. And we got Pacheco and Hunt who are going. And of course, everybody doesn't like those guys, but I might have to say a pass on Brees Hall. What you think?
I don't think it's realistic. Of course, I would love Brees Hall in this offense with Patrick Mahomes and these weapons, these wide receivers. Of course, who wouldn't want them? But I gotta be realistic. He's gonna want a new contract, and I don't think Veach and them are gonna pay him that contract. And it wouldn't be. You got to give up some assets for him. You're gonna have to, at the very minimum, give up a third round pick. At the very minimum, and I don't even think that's gonna be enough. I think they're going to ask at least for a second.
Yeah.
Because he's their best. Well, outside of Garrett Wilson, he's one of their better offensive pieces now. So
I absolutely agree. Yeah. So anyway, the other running backs I like on this my list here is Jerome Ford from the Browns. He could be a steal with a $1.8 million cap hit, efficient backup, fully guaranteed, easy add for depth. If Cleveland decides to unload a big yes, especially on the cheap running back. There's also Jalen Wright from the Dolphins. I liked him coming out of Tennessee.
Me too.
Miami has a loaded backfield, will make him available. Prime budget target for Pacheco insurance. And lastly, Ravens running back Keaton Mitchell.
I like him too.
Yeah, man. Electric change of pace with the injury recovery, but Baltimore loves him. He could be a steal if they'll let him go. So I like Calais Campbell for that wisdom. Ford, Mitchell, Wright. For that running back juice.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, any of those guys would be fine. Kenneth Walker contract is up next year for. I wouldn't be mad at Kenneth Walker.
Me neither. Yeah,
I think he would. I think that would make sense. Because they got Charbonnet back there already, so I think that would make sense. And I don't think you have to pay him next year because, he's injury prone, so he gets hurt a lot. That's the only buyer's beware with him. But I don't think you would have to give up a lot to get Kenneth Walker. I think you give him a 5th round pick and get Kenneth Walker.
Absolutely. So now, as we move on to the next segment of this show, we like to do a segment where I like to talk about my players of the game. So who were the guys that really played a big role in this butt whooping, this belt to ass whooping on the Lions, at the end that led to Brian Branch to try to go after Juju? Because here's the thing, man, I'm not going to lie. In the third quarter, I actually fell asleep because I put in a lot of work and I was just relaxing, but I woke up to hearing my mama screaming, "Whoop it, Juju, whoop it." I was like, what is going on? And I was remember like rubbing the sleep out of my eyes. And then when I saw Juju on the ground after Brian Branch tossed him, I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you mad because you losing us. And then I said 1 game suspension. Then I went back to sleep. And it was just like, man, and I went back smiling like, I told people, just give us 4 or 6 weeks. We'll be back.
Yeah.
Everybody was talking all that stuff. So anyway, for offense for me, Hollywood Brown to me would be a guy that I would pick, right? He hauled in 4 catches for 45 yards and 2 touchdowns. His first multi-score game since 2021 through 6 games. He's got 30 grabs. He's only second to Kelsey in receiving yards, and the guy's a weapon, weaving through defenses like he's a highlight reel, right? But he's not my pick, though. And yeah, they got thunder and lightning out here in Lawrence, Kansas. Excuse me, people. So my pick is offensive tackle Jalen Moore.
Not mad at that.
With Josh Simmons ruled out hours before kickoff, Moore stepped into the fire, making his first start since week 16 of last season with the San Francisco 49ers. He faced All-Pro Aiden Hutchinson, allowing just 3 pressures, no sacks on 40 pass blocking snaps. Talk about holding it down, man. Moore kept Mahomes clean and the offense moving efficiently. Absolute clutch. What you think, man?
I'm not mad at that at all. Yeah, he deserves all the flowers and kudos for how he played on Sunday night. Didn't let Aiden Hutchin, wreck the game. Didn't let the other kid Muhammad wreck the game. Like he played really well. Maybe have one or two snaps where he got beat, but outside of that, he played really really well. So I'm not mad at that. So as far as me, I'm probably gonna roll with Hollywood. I think Hollywood made some big catches in this game, man. And that one catch, if you go on the Arrowhead Chief podcast, me and my boy Mar, shout out to Wildcard Mar, we do play of the game, plays of the game. He did his, I did mine. Mine was Hollywood Brown sideline catch. He was moving backwards, caught the ball, and kept the pass. Didn't fumble and drop the ball or anything like that. So shout out to Hollywood, man. I think he's been playing really well these past 2 weeks, making big catches. So I'm gonna give it to Hollywood, man. And plus, he had 2 scores. So
Absolutely, that's good, man. I'm not mad at that. So on defense, I gotta go with the safety duo of Brian Cook and Shamari Connor.
yeah,
They get the nod. These tackling machines were everywhere, combined for 21 stops, many right at the line of scrimmage. Detroit, high-powered offense, averaging almost 35 points a game, was held to just 17, their lowest since week 1. The Lions went 5 for 11 on third down and 0-2 on fourth, thanks to Brian Cook and Connor's relentless closing speed. So Cook in the contract year, and got a shout out to the late great Terez Paylor. The contract year stays
always
undefeated.
undefeated. Yeah.
Yeah, man. These two were the heart of the defense Sunday that bowed up, down, and got off the field and just did it for everything. Salute to you playmakers out there. So who's your guy on defense?
Uh, I'm gonna go Leo Chenal, man. I thought Leo Chenal played a really good game, man. There was so many times where those running backs, what I'm saying, was trying to get, pursuit, trying to get a first down or trying to get yardage, and Leo Chenal would just slip right behind the defensive lineman and just make a play. You know what I'm saying? He tackles for loss. Nick Bolton is right there with him too. But I thought Leo Chenal had a really good game, man. I always love Leo. He always making plays, but he had a really good game on Sunday.
Oh man, it's so crazy that you mentioned Leo. He was going to be my original pick originally because I saw that he had 4 run stops. They also played a big role in stopping Gibbs and Montgomery.
Mhm. Yeah, the
Yeah,
broadcast was bringing it up like consistently how he would just slip right behind the defensive lineman, like because the offensive line, he would slip right behind the offensive lineman too, like get past it and not get blocked and get swallowed up, and he would just stop the run.
yeah, yeah. So before we wrap this segment up, moving to the last segment before we close up for the night, let's talk about a concern in the Chiefs kicking game. Harrison Bucker,
Yeah.
another week, not just another miss, but another bad mistake. This
Mhm.
time, an ugly extra point yanked wide left against the Detroit Lions. Detroit might have tipped it, but that doesn't cut it. Bucker, one of the highest paid kickers, is at a shaky 78% on field goals and 82% on extra points through 6 games. For a team like us, where close games are the norm, 4 of those 6 were decided by 7 or less. Every kick matters.
Mhm.
Bucker's got to lock in, man,
I agree.
especially with the divisional showdown against the Raiders right now looming close this Sunday. Bucker, no more excuses. Time to make every kick count. Live up to that paycheck, bro. Chiefs
Yeah.
Kingdom deserves it, man, from you.
Yeah.
So that's
No,
it for. Go ahead.
No, I agree with you, man. I do will say this, and I'm not pitching Buckner no bill. You getting all that money, man. You need to learn how to fix that thing. But I do think he changed his kicking stance up, and I think it has a little bit to do with it. Because he had that bend where he would bend his leg, and that ultimately led to him getting hurt last year. And he had to get surgery, and then he came back later in the year. But I do. I think he changed his stance up, and I think he's overcompensating for that. I think he's trying to not. he's so worried about not bending his leg so he won't get hurt again. And I think he's overcompensating for that. So that's why he's getting these misses. That's still no excuse, but I'm just saying, I think that's why he's missing some of these kicks. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I understand that. So, but come on, man, he has to get it
Mhm.
together, man.
I
Especially
agree.
got to live up to that paycheck. So,
Yeah.
Jawan Taylor he's been amazing. He's
Yeah.
been doing very well. Jalen Moore lived up to that paycheck on Sunday, going up against Hutchinson. And of course, they got another test against Max Crosby, which I feel confident they'll hold it down. But as we go to this final segment, we're going to talk about why special teams, as I mentioned it to Bucker. What's up, Thiz? What's up, my brother? My guy Thiz from my previous podcast over at Chiefs Focus, War Room with PMAC. My guy Thiz. We'll have him on pretty soon on the show. Anyway, man. Um, Here's the thing: special teams are going to play a big role in this game Sunday, man. Not just with Bucker making every kick count, but we can exploit a very preposterous. Hey, you don't worry about that, bro. It's all good, man. So they got a very terrible return coverage unit over there in Vegas, and we're going to explain why. So as we get this final segment here, is my segment where I like to talk about the 3 keys to victory. That will be a big key, in my opinion, because there could be like 5 or 10 many different scenarios. Josh Simmons could be a possible month, fellas, from what I'm hearing through the neighborhood. Great minds. Hey, man, it is what it is, man. If it is,
Prayers to Josh Simmons, man. Hopefully everything is all right and he gets that whatever he needs to get taken care of, and his family situation gets better.
absolutely, because we're journalists. Me and you are, especially when we do our podcasting, but also we're not going to be TMZ trying to figure out every situation, especially when it happens. Like being there when Nipsey Hussle got killed. Like we're not going to be all with that and everything. We'll let the folks, especially like what Andy Reid said, let Veach handle it. So
Yeah, for sure.
So anyway, so here's the keys for us to go 4-3 Sunday, especially with the return of Rashee Rice, especially for this AFC West showdown in this game against the Raiders, especially at noon. Probably the first noon game of the year this Sunday. I know everybody's excited about that. So key number 1, shut down Ashton Jeanty. The Raiders rookie running back is their offense. He's averaging about 70.70 yards rushing per game, averaging 4 yards per carry. The Chiefs' run defense is ranked 19th, allowing about 119 yards per game. Must stack the box, seal the edges, and force Jeanty into lateral runs to kill his groove. If he breaks loose, it's trouble. So Nick Bolton, looking at him, he's a tackling machine with about 6+ stops every game this season, including 11 tackles, especially one for a loss, a fumble recovery the last time against Vegas. He's hunting his 3rd straight tackle for loss this upcoming game here. Drew Tranquil, also chasing his 3rd tackle for loss in a row, plays a big role. And also, remember, if the ball comes to Nick, let him get it, man. And Chris Jones. And this is the thing about why Chris plays a big role in stopping this run here. Of course, we know Chris is known as his stop going after quarterbacks, averaging double-digit sacks all the years he's been here. But before he was known as double-digit sack Chris Jones, he was known as run-stopping Chris Jones out of Mississippi State. I think he's tapped back into that, where he's also had 3 tackles for loss in 3 home games and 2 sacks in his last game against the Raiders. And he's going to aim for his 4th straight going against the team here. So this crew's got to swarm Jeanty and pressure Geno Smith, who's thrown 10 interceptions to 7 touchdown passes and has been sacked 18 times. That's tied for the 5th most in the NFL.
Yeah.
So that's key number 1.
My key number 1 is energy. Like you said, this is the first noon game, and we all know that sometimes these Chiefs, they come out flat in these noon games because they're so used to playing at 325 or 720 or whatever, and they're used to playing at night or playing in the afternoon. They got to bring energy, 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 energy. Do not come out flat. Don't let these Raiders hang around. Don't give them hope. Don't make let Geno Smith get some type of hope. You know what I'm saying? And they start getting amped up, and they bring more energy. Because I'm telling you right now, as bad as the Raiders have been this year, they're gonna come in with energy because they want to come in and spoil it. The return of Rashee Rice, and come in and beat us. So they're gonna bring the energy. You know what I'm saying? Now, with that doesn't necessarily mean they're gonna be good, but I'm just saying they are going to bring the energy. So the Chiefs on both sides of the ball and special teams, they gotta come with energy, play smart football and energy.
Yeah. Shohei Otani is not human, dude. My gosh, this I just hit 3 home runs tonight, man. God.
Wow.
Anyway, so key number 2, I agree with that one, man. Energy. Gotta bring the energy. The 12th man energy, Arrowhead,
Mhm.
man, is real, especially going against the Raiders. I've
Mhm.
been there, man. Number 2, shred the Raiders secondary because they have coughed up 971 receiving yards to opposing wide receivers. That's the 5th most in the NFL. Shred them up. Mahomes is fresh off of 257 yards and 4 touchdowns with a 132 passer rating versus Detroit, the fastest to 300 yards passing, 300 passing touchdowns in 139 games. Excuse me. He's got about 4,000 yards passing and 35 touchdowns versus the Raiders in 14 starts with a touchdown in every game. And he's aiming for his 3rd straight home game with 3 touchdown passes and a over 120 plus passer rating.
Oh.
Kelsey has 6 catches and 78 yards in the last game. He has 5 plus grabs in 14 out of 15 versus the Raiders and is 1 touchdown shy, I believe, of 80 touchdowns, I believe, especially with Mahomes. Or he might have 100. I don't know. I'll have to look up that stat again to be sure.
Mhm.
Hollywood Brown's coming off a 2-game, touchdown game. Rashee Rice making his debut, EGE,
Mhm.
having 103 catches and 9 touchdowns in 20 games. And Worthy just scored his first. So this group could feast.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna go back to what I said in the beginning. Attack the middle of the field. Attack these linebackers. Get after them. Use that speed against these linebackers that will ultimately open things up. Once we get them willing and fumbling over themselves, I think that the Chiefs are gonna unload on them as far as opening up that playbook and going downfield. I think Pat, don't be surprised if we get a Tyquan Thornton touchdown and an Xavier Worthy deep touchdown too. So I can see that. I can see both.
Thornton, Rice, or Worthy, man. I really see
Mhm.
that. So here's another thing that I will say, and this is the final key towards the game. This is why I say special teams is going to play a big key. Return the ball down their throats. The Raiders special teams are ass. They're a mess. They're, if you watch the Boondocks, that season 2, the introduction of Thug Deficit, that's
Mhm.
song he's playing. Booty butt, booty butt. Play that every time you see the Raiders kickoff return coverage and the punt return coverage. Play that every time you see them. Play that every time you watch back in week 3 against the Commanders.
Mhm.
Jalen Lane returning a 90-yard punt return touchdown. Debo Samuel returning it down their throats for 69 yards, giving the Commanders great field position to score again.
Mhm.
The Raiders special teams have allowed 27.2 yards per kickoff return, the 7th most allowed in the NFL. But
That's crazy.
wait, there's more. The 2nd league worst, 18.8 yards per punt return. That's the 2nd worst. If Devin Hester went against the Raiders every week, he'd be scoring 100 punt return touchdowns on these guys.
Deontay Hall.
Dante
Deontay Hall.
Hall, I forget. Yeah, man, I can't forget about the X Factor.
X Factor.
Can't forget about him, man. He'll be scoring that amount too. As I mentioned, Lane scored a 90-yard punt return touchdown. Debo Samuel ripped a 69-yard kickoff return in week 3. Nico Remigio, Brashard Smith need to exploit this, flipping the field with big returns. Oh, and Harrison Bucker, no misses, nail every kick. So what you
Okay.
think about that, man? What's
No,
your third
I,
pick?
I no, I agree. I agree with that. And don't be surprised if Tyquan Thornton gets back there too, because Tobe talked about it this week that now that Rashee's back, they're gonna use him more on special teams on both sides. So I'm just saying. My third key, I'm gonna go on the defensive side, man. We got to get pressure on Geno. We have to get pressure. 4-man rush. George Karlaftis, where you at? Charlie O, where you at? I know everybody wants to dump on Chris Jones because he's making so much money. There's only so much Chris Jones can do.
Yeah.
You got 2 guys on you that's like, well over 600 pounds continuously blocking you on every play.
And about 16 and a half sacks combined from those two.
I'm just saying, like Charlie O and George got to step up this game. They got to make things force Geno into one of those picks. He got 10 on the season. Give him 13 now.
Let Noel have his first. Let McDuffie get one. Let it be like Oprah. You get a pick. You get a pick. You get a pick. You get a sack. You get a sack.
Because that offensive line is terrible. It's bad.
Yes.
Their best offensive lineman is not even playing.
Sacks allowed. That's tied for the 5th most allowed in the NFL.
Their best offensive lineman is not even playing. Colton Miller, he's out. So y'all should feast on this defensive line or this offensive line. Y'all should feast on this offensive line. George Karlaftis, you should have a sack. Charlie O should have a sack. Cris should get a couple. Or at least get enough pressures to force him into some interceptions, because we know that Geno, he likes to sling the football down the field, but he'll throw it in double coverage.
Absolutely.
So, and you know Spags is going to bring the blitz too. So, I'm just saying, get pressure.
Absolutely. So, contain Genty, torch their secondary, and dominate on those returns. That's the Chiefs' path to 4-3. Chiefs Kingdom. Let's get it. So before we end the show, let's hear a word from our sponsors. So Chiefs Kingdom, before we close it out, it's time for good night, Mama. My mom just texted me here. So it's time for a quick word from Underdog. As you understand, it's a game-changing thing for those October picks. We're taking Underdog Fantasy, the ultimate spot to crush those parlays and stock that cash while you're, backing your squad. So, we have October is Boost Over Unlimited. So, every single day you get about 30% profit boost on any parlay that you drop. That's right. Mahomes, flipping it and lighting it up on the Raiders secondary. Boost that. Rashee Rice over 60+ yards receiving. Boost that. Sprinkle an anytime touchdown for Rashee Rice with his return. Boost that as well. Stack them up, man. Watch those payouts explode and live that Chiefs Kingdom high. Head to Underdog Fantasy right now. Sign up. Lock in that edge with promo code Kingdom Kast. That's Kingdom Kast. KINGDOMKAST. It's your ticket to unlimited boost and nonstop action. Don't sleep on it, bro. Download the app, enter Kingdom Kast, and let's turn those picks into wins. Underdog Fantasy, where the boost never stop and neither does the fun. So anyway, you got anything that you want to say, bro, before we end this show?
No, just hopefully not even hopefully get the job done, Chiefs, and get a win, and let's go 4-3 and get ready for some Monday Night Football to play the Washington Commanders.
Oh, absolutely. So anyway, man, I just want to say, Cris, bro, thank you, and tell the folks where they could find you at.
You can find Arrowhead Chief Podcast at Chief Podcast. Also, if you I talk other sports too, so you can find me on my other podcast, Cristal and Mall Podcast. On my social media is Cristal and Mall. And you can find me, Cris, at CRIS_style702. Follow me, I'll follow you back. All I do is talk Chiefs, sports, and other things. So
Yeah. And you can find me, Philip McGruder, P Mac McGruder at Chiefs fan for life, LYFE for life. You can find it out. Thank you, good sir. You stay classy as well. That's it, Chiefs Kingdom. And thank you. Enjoy Sunday. And F the Raiders and F the Lions and F Brian Branch. And also, anyway, before I close out this podcast on a serious note, I want to send a shout out to my childhood friend who passed away, Robbie Williams. To his mother, my heart goes out to her and everything as we end this podcast. And my condolences go out to her and also to the family of Monica Davison as well too. So it's been a really rough week for me on that front. But other than that, I'm going to enjoy this Sunday. And other than that, that's all, Chiefs Kingdom. Thank you, Cris, for joining me. Till next time.
Yes,
See y'all
sir.
next Friday, baby. All right, Chiefs Kingdom. Peace out.
Peace.